Behind me is my 2023 Tesla Model Y. We picked this car up a few months ago in July, and it has been a great car since. But we're not going to be talking about my Tesla Model Y experience specifically. We're going to be talking about your potential EV experience. What's up, guys? Hope you're having a great day today. Today, we're going to be discussing if you should be buying an EV in 2025. So let's get started. So the first thing that we need to talk about when it comes to buying an EV in 2025 is the rebates. And so we did not get a rebate on this car. For some context, we purchased this car for right around $36,000 if you include the full self-driving and all that jazz. We got this for $36,000 on the used market, so there was no rebates for us whatsoever because the $3,500, I believe it is, used EV rebate was for vehicles under $25,000. So we're about $10,000 over that limit, so we didn't get a rebate on that. This car is used, so we didn't get a rebate on the $7,500 that most EVs do get. But unfortunately, nowadays, that rebate is also gone. So there's no $7,500 EV rebate, I believe, anymore. So essentially, if you buy an EV right now, you are probably not going to get any type of money back from the government on that. Which, I mean, still, that's kind of how most cars are. I mean, that's how it is with that Audi, and that's how it is with this Tesla. In my opinion, you shouldn't be buying a car just to get a rebate on it, because you're still going to net negative, you know? I mean, all you're saying is you get a $7,500 discount on the car, which is still great to say, but, I mean, on the used market, you can still find these for less than that. So, like, less than new, minus the $7,500, you know? But there's so much more about buying an EV than just the money you get back from the government. I mean, one example of this is fuel costs. I mean, let's compare the fuel costs on my 23 Model Y to my 2016 Audi TT right here. This TT takes 87 and it gets about, I want to say, 28 miles a gallon. I mean, on my way here, I got 28 miles a gallon. I've had days where I've gotten 38 miles a gallon, but all in all, the average fuel cost per mile on this TT is somewhere around 8 cents a mile versus my Model Y right here. This is about 5 cents a mile when you factor in superchargers as well as the home charger we have here. So all in all, a 3 cent per mile difference, which does add up over time, and it does create a lot of, I guess, fuel savings and fuel cost savings in that case, which for Tesla, I mean, they factor that into the cost, which I don't know how I feel about since everyone is different on that. But in general, for EV costs and EV things like that, I mean, the fuel savings are nice to have. And I mean, it's just easier, in my opinion, to just go home and plug this into a charger. Because, like, I've had days where, you know, it's late and I really do not want to go to a gas station, but I'm running low on gas. In fact, I had that one time when I was in the middle of nowhere, like in a basically sundown town, which, if you can see my skin color, probably not the best thing for me, versus, like, you know, I could just go home and supercharge, or not supercharge, but like I could go home and get this thing charged just without even having to care. Like, literally, I can go plug it in and then go inside, go to bed, and then wake up in the morning with a decently filled battery, I'd say. Obviously, that one is going to vary for people if you have the level 1 or level 2 charger. If we go on into the garage real quick, which I have to put in the pin, so give me 1 second. So right here, you can see that we actually have the wall charger plugged in here. So this is about, I think, 38 miles of range per hour, versus the Clarity, it's on a level 1 charger right here. This is about 3 miles an hour. What I'll say for charging is that it really depends on if you drive a lot more or not. If you do drive a lot more and you know, come back to the house often, things like that, like if you drive a lot for work and you come back home, you can either, well, it depends on where you work, obviously, but they may have chargers for you, or you could get one of these installed. This one was, I have to say, about $1,100. I could be wrong on the number. I'll put it right here. But I do have to say the fuel costs are a lot lower on the Tesla compared to my Audi over there. We'll talk about the Clarity in a minute and its fuel costs, but I will say, though, on that note, it does kind of help its case a little bit that this is cheaper to run fuel-wise than that car. Now, another thing a lot of people talk about is reliability and reliability concerns. And I have to say, this Tesla is not perfect whatsoever. I'm gonna admit that right here, right now. We had the screen go out one time, though it fixed itself right away, so that's fine there. But ultimately, though, I mean, it's kind of just had some, not really issues, but like sometimes the FSD that we have on this car kind of fails and we had to take over, which isn't the biggest deal. But I mean, if we paid for the feature, we want it to work right, you know? But this car so far has been decently reliable. I'm gonna knock on Tesla that it stays that way. The thing that everyone is worried about is the battery underneath this car, and I completely understand that. For context, these EVs have giant batteries underneath them, bigger than the 12-volt battery that's in the Audi. So to replace that, if that goes out, is a solid $10,000 to $15,000. Yes, you heard me right, 10 to 15 grand on these batteries, which is crazy to say. With shops like the Electrified Garage being opened, it allows for EV owners to have more opportunities to be able to own their EVs for a lot cheaper. Sometimes what will happen with these batteries is that one or two modules go out, and then it just destroys, not destroys the entire battery, but like makes the entire battery inoperable, which is understandable why it can be frustrating like that. But I mean, hybrids have had this issue for years, and they've also been able to be fixed. So it's the case of not replacing the entire battery, but like possibly getting some of the modules replaced so that that way it'll still remain workable. Now, the other side of that though is battery degradation. And so with that, the degradation can be quite a pain, and it can be quite annoying. For example, right, I can solidly get, like, you know, 300, 400 miles of range in my Audi. It doesn't matter if it has 2 miles on the odometer or 200,000 miles on the odometer. Over time though, the Tesla, it's going to lose its range. It's going to degrade bit by bit by bit, kind of like my cell phone would, you know? From what I've seen online, the EV batteries do tend to last quite a while nowadays. Like, modern EV batteries do tend to last a while. I've seen some cases of, like, you know, 10 to 15, not 15 years, but like 10 to like 11 years of usage. Maybe if you're a bit more, I guess, abusive on the charging, then it'll probably be like 7 to 8. But if it's more, you know, you treat the battery right, you treat all of that right, kind of like you would with your phone, this will last you probably a good 10 years or so, which, I mean, you can't really say much for many other cars nowadays. I mean, a lot of modern cars don't really last that long. I will say the Audi is a very good exception to that. I'm a little bit biased because I do like me that Audi right there. But what I'm trying to say essentially is that for the main, I guess, component of the car to run and drive for, like, you know, 10 years, whilst, yeah, it does promote a lot of, you know, like throwaway ability, throwawayness after that battery does go bye-bye, it does have a good amount of reliability there. I mean, if that takes 10 years to go away, then in my opinion, that's a pretty good amount of time to last. Obviously, we've all heard the stories of, you know, people keeping cars from like when they were kids, well, not kids, but like from when they were my age to like when they have their second kid go off to college and some stuff like that, which is insane. But on average, typically, I mean, if you exclude the last few cars, which ended in horrific unreliability, car crash, and just not really enjoying it, then all of our cars have lasted quite a bit. Our old Odyssey, I think, lasted from 2006 to 2023. Our old Camry lasted from 2006 to 2020. So yeah, we do like to have our cars for a long period of time, and that's what the plan is with this Tesla, with that Audi, and the Honda inside. And in my opinion, I think that that is a fairly realistic goal to have. I mean, 10 years of a car is pretty good in my opinion. I mean, this Audi is already 10 years old, and this car I think we can keep for quite a few more years before anything can happen. Again, I'm gonna knock on Tesla, and I'm also gonna go over here and knock on Audi because I want this car to stay around for a long while. I would go knock on Clarity, but I am way too lazy to open up that garage door again, so we'll knock on the ground. Nowadays with modern EVs, if you go new, then that's going to last you quite a long time with the car. Now on the other side, if you do go used, you got kind of a coin toss. If you go for a lightly used car like this Tesla here, then it'll probably last you a good amount of time. But if you're trying to get, like, you know, a 2013 Tesla Model S, then I wish you good luck, soldier. You're gonna need it. Now, I mentioned new versus used a second ago, and that's another thing about buying an EV, is that new, if you go new, they depreciate like crazy. Like, a good few examples of this is the Cybertruck, which, I mean, to be fair, everyone could tell that was going to depreciate horribly. But then there's also cars like the Lucid Air, which in my opinion is a really nice car. I love the Lucid Air. It's a beautiful car, both inside and outside, and it just works really well from what I've seen. However, those cars are drowning in depreciation. Same goes with the Mercedes-Benz EQS. You could get that thing for, like, I think 120 brand new, and now I'm seeing them on the used market, like about the same age as this Tesla, going for like the same price as this Tesla, weirdly enough. like 40 to like 45 grand. I mean, obviously this Tesla was a little bit less than that, but still a brand new Model Y is like 60 grand. A brand new EQS is double that. And now on the used market, they're about the same, which blows my mind. So if you do go for EV, then that is one thing you have to consider, is the fact of whatever EV I buy, maybe there's like an exception here or there, but most of the time with EVs, I'm going to lose a crap load of money in depreciation if I go new. If you go used, then I mean, dude, you're chilling. I mean, come on, you got a depreciation hero right there, which is awesome to say. And the final criteria that I want you to ask yourself about is, how often do I road trip my car? So we take this Tesla Model Y on a few road trips, but we don't go extensively far. We go to the state of Maryland, which is about 5.5 to 6 hours for us. And so with that, we have to stop at one supercharger station. But the thing we found is that for us to go to a supercharger station, pack some food and eat dinner while we're at the supercharger takes less time than if we took like the Clarity, for example, put gas in it and then went to like Taco Bell or something like that. So ultimately, we're actually, crazily enough, saving time. I should also say there is a V3 supercharger on our way, so it does charge a whole lot quicker. And by the way, if you have not seen the video where I've actually done this road trip, I'll link it below. But in those instances, we do have a little bit of range anxiety, not the craziest amount of range anxiety, but just a little bit here and there. There is still quite a bit of mileage in between, you know, us going dead and us arriving at the supercharger. But still though, I mean, there's still the case of like, whilst we're driving, you know, we use things like the air conditioning, the heated seats, all of that stuff, and it eats up the battery range like no other. It's insane. And in this case, I can't really say and vouch much for the EVs. I will say the FSD on this car has been nice to drive around with, but my point still stands is that in this case, I think the EV loses quite a bit to both the gas car, as well as, when I open up this garage one more time, the plug-in hybrid as well. In my personal opinion, if you are kind of scared to go EV, this is the next best thing, a plug-in hybrid right here. So for context, this is a 2018 Honda Clarity, and this car gets about 50 miles of pure electric range, plus another, I want to say, I don't even know, 300 miles of gas. It has a 7-gallon fuel tank, and then a 50-mile range battery right there. Obviously, it depends on how you drive a bit, but I will say, if you are scared of the EV route, then this route might be the way for you. And just like that, today's video is in fact over. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you guys think in 2025 an EV is a good purchase or not? Let me know if you agree or disagree with what I've said in the comments below as well. If you like what you're seeing, leave subscribe. And just like that, I'm out. I'm gonna go put this car back in the garage and then start driving my Audi. Peace.